cannot believe that. Okay, so this is COVID-19, and I'm still getting caught up with the tech savvy stuff here. So sorry about that, Heidi.
That's okay.
So Heidi's 3 points were to don't be afraid to reach out and really, really listen to what people are saying. To do a small kind gesture, like flowers from a neighbor, and so people don't feel alone. And what was the third one, Heidi?
The third one was like when you are out and about, like even just that small gesture of smiling to someone or giving them eye contact.
Above the mask.
Yeah, well, yeah. When I say smile, because I think you can tell when someone's smiling, even though you don't see them under the mask. You can tell in their facial expression, you can tell in their eyes, and it's so much more genuine.
And we are human beings, and we are social animals. We are designed to be in relationships. So I think that is really wise to somehow connect with people, even if we can't go up and talk to them and hug them. I'm a real hugger. This whole thing has been terribly hard for me.
You and me both. You and me both.
So at this time, I'm going to mute everybody. Well, actually, I think I can do this. Down below, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there is a way to, it's under reactions, and you can wave your little hand, and then I can unmute you so that Heidi can take your question. There is another way you can do this, and that is if you want to write in the chat, that should come up. But I would love to hear your voice, if not see your face. Some of you, I can't see you. So if you can't have a question for Heidi, my preference would be for you to wave your little hand, and I'll unmute you so that Heidi, oh, okay, Marcia's got a question. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, I hope I'm hip here. Okay. Unmute, Marcia, go ahead. Wait, go. No.
See, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, Heidi, just wondered, what were your symptoms compared to the regular flu, if you've ever had the flu?
Yeah, so I've had many strands of the flu, even wonderful swine flu back in the day. That's one of the wonderful things about being a physician's wife, you get everything. But I would say the biggest thing for me was, because I've had malaise, I've had that, I would say the heaviness feeling. I felt like a big, thick block of cement was laid on top of my whole entire body. And I was sore, my back was killing me, and those are all normal flu things, but that heaviness feeling. And so then if the cement was over my entire body, I would say like 5 extra layers were on my head. Mm-hmm. So I just felt really, really super heavy. I also, a symptom I have never experienced before in my life, when I was able to at least like take a shower, even at like just barely warm, it hurt my skin.
Wow.
Yeah, but I had the normal sore throat, all that kind of stuff that other people have been saying. I didn't lose taste or smell. I didn't have that. But I would just say that heaviness feeling. And the other thing that I found was I would start to feel better during the day. And then it would like hit me again, and I would be back under that cement, right? And then I would start to feel better again, and then bam, that cement was put over me. So that went on for several days, and then after that went away, I still would have these nighttime sort of, I don't know if you've ever slept through the night where when you're sick and you just feel that heaviness, is the only way I know to describe it. So even though I was feeling better, I would still have that feeling through the night, and that lasted.
Were you running a fever?
My fever actually was below a fever, which is a sign of a virus as well. So it wasn't even normal.
What about the respiratory cough aspect?
I didn't have any of that. And, that's what's interesting, what I've been talking to, because I even had a friend who, actually, I just had a Zoom call with her the other day, and she actually tested positive. And she didn't have any of that either. So that's what's so interesting and unique about this. It's so different. And I think the other point is that, there's so many people that are also asymptomatic. they're not even getting any symptoms. So to think that my husband and I have 3 children. And so, yes, we quarantined and we did as much as we can and we Cloroxed the whole house, but still, we were all together before any of us knew we had it. And none of them, thank goodness, got it at all. So,
well, none of them are symptomatic.
well, that's what I mean. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll be anxious for my husband and I once we can have the antibody test.
Exactly.
To have that.
Yes.
And people have asked me, are you gonna, and I'm like, I am not a person to give blood because but I do it because it's what I need to do, even though I usually pass out, but that's okay. But I will do it.
Great.
Well, one of the
Thanks.
things that in this article that I'm going to be sharing, one of the bits of advice was, if you're talking with somebody who thinks they have COVID or is feeling ill, is to say, what has your doctor told you? Because there is so much information out there and so much misinformation. And to give them the opportunity to focus just on them and what they've been told, it kind of minimizes this greater fear of everything that's out there. And I thought that for me, that would be helpful. And so when I read that article, I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And so I thought that was good advice, in addition to everything that Heidi said. Any other questions? So Heidi, I had one question for you. What sorts of little things besides leaving flowers could people do for somebody? I guess they could offer to run to the food store, or what other things would have supported you during this time?
Well, since I have older children, but I didn't need the help of making dinners and things like that, but maybe someone could make a dinner, or going to the store for them would be huge. All those little things that, they seem monumental. I guess I get, in particular, those of people who are maybe living alone, that's really challenging.
Right.
You can't go anywhere, and it's too hard to do so. So that's what I would recommend for sure. But the other part of this whole thing is, I just wanted to turn it around as a health coach. I have to, it's in me. And that, if you look at the statistics, there's a high statistic of those people getting it, that when they have any kind of coronary, any kind of heart disease, or any kind of, if they have diabetes or they're obese, they're not weathering the COVID as well. And so, I ask you, if not now, when? And so many times we as people, we say, oh, well, maybe when this pandemic is over, when my kids go back to school, when summer comes, when next Monday, next month, next week, it's always. And so I ask you today, if one huge thing for me is, what's one thing you could do to be 5% better in your health? Because all those little 5% add up. And I know sometimes we are in overwhelm and we can't see it. It seems too big to get to that next step. But if we just take baby steps and we can be a little bit better, we're going to be healthier. We're going to have a stronger immune system. I know that this particular, this COVID it's not, some people who are healthy get really, really bad cases. And, I'm fortunate that I didn't. And I don't wish that upon anyone. However, I do know that I was in a healthy place before. So I reach out to you and I tell you, what could you do today to be 5% better?
Okay, thank you so much. And we do have questions from Evelyn Lyons. Evelyn, I'm going to unmute you. I hope this works.
Yep, you got it.
Yep.
Good morning. And by the way, forgive me, I still need to call you. We got away with our schoolwork on Friday, so that is still in my plan.
We'll catch up when you get a chance.
Good morning, Heidi. I'm glad you are doing well. I put my camera on here, but you don't want to see all that's going on in our house right now. So I had just a question on how, like, what would you say and everybody's timeline might be different, but what would you say your timeline as far as what you did to quarantine yourself, like what do you think your timeline was? Like, were you automatically like, oh my gosh, I need to go ahead and start quarantining my room? Or because obviously you need to be fed and things like that. And so that's my question as far as I'm a person I'm a person who is a visual learner. So I'm trying to physically see how you went about this timeline in your home, and like how, you know, did you feed yourself, or it's questions like that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Those are good questions. So what I did was, well, once my husband became symptomatic, that's when he stayed in his room. When he would come out, it sounds kind of funny, but if he would come out, it would be when either early in the morning when no one was down, he would wear his mask. But I then no longer went into the bedroom or used that bathroom.
Okay.
And then once I started being symptomatic, after we Lysoled and Clorox the whole place. But once I became symptomatic, then pretty much the same thing happened with me. And I did the same thing. And then I was symptomatic, for 7 days. And then I took 3 days to make sure that, I didn't go out into the world. I did start to come down into my house, like into the regular parts of my house. But again, tried to keep my distance as much as I could, and was Cloroxing everything down and all that kind of stuff. Does that help? Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, that makes sense. With us, we have a feeling we probably have already had it, just because I'm a little skeptical on what the actual timeline is of, as far as when exactly, it came over. But as far as us, we were some of us got a little, I got it the worst, I believe, but we were ill in December, and then I had respiratory issues from December all the way up until 3 weeks ago. And so it could have, it could not have been, we don't really know, but I was wondering mainly because just in case, we didn't have it, what would that look like for a family with little children, and,
Right.
with, how do you go about isolating and who feeds and things like that? And do you come out at all of your rooms? So that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, no, and I've heard that, and I'm so glad you're better, by the way. I'm glad, and I hope no one else gets sick in your house. But I would say that I've heard that a lot, that people feel like they've had it like in the December, February timeframe before this all came out, and sort of the same thing like what you're saying. So yeah, we did the best we could, and everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different.
Right.
Obviously, having little kids is very, very challenging. So more power to you that you got through it. I know that has to be really challenging. So yeah, I would say you do the best you can,
Right. Okay.
I think that Evelyn raises a really great question, and it raises the idea of this. One of the things that's really different about this disease is the anticipatory anxiety of getting the disease, and then on top of that, there's also this guilt about, could I possibly give it to somebody? And typically when we have a virus, there is not that same level of mental anxiety that goes on. So I think it makes it even more important to do the smile through our mask that Heidi was talking about, so that there is that kind of connection that we are, everybody's been saying we are in this together. Well, if we're in this together, a little smile goes a long way. And I will tell you, my daughter is living in New York, in Brooklyn, and it's anxiety producing. We worry about her all the time. But one of the things that the doctors in New York are doing is, because they're all wearing masks, they have photos of themselves in plastic sheeting, and they're smiling. And the idea is so that people can see their faces, people know that they are there. And even though they can't see this part of the face, they can see who they're dealing with. And I thought that was such an important thing to do. I know it sounds a little goofy. For me, that would make me feel better. I don't know about you all, but that definitely would make me feel better.
Oh yeah, definitely for me as well. And yeah, it's been interesting because when you see different media, it's a little scary sometimes, And I did want to say, I, being a healthy person, I had in the beginning, I really thought that, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I won't get it bad or whatever. And that quickly changed once I became symptomatic, so it's an interesting, just what happens in that whole realm of feelings that take over your body as well as your mind. And the mind is such a powerful thing. So I think it's really important that we are in this together. And that's why that human connection is so incredibly important.
Okay, and it looks like Marcia has another question. Let me unmute you, Marcia. Okay, go ahead.
Just a quick comment
Okay.
along the lines of what Heidi's saying. I personally believe the media has fomented a fear and anxiety about this virus that is not helpful. I think it has not helped people kind of cope. Yeah, you got to be aware, you got to know, you got to be cautious. But to me, it's kind of gone over to a place that is not very helpful to us.
Yeah, Marcia, I would tend to agree. And to be perfectly honest, we could probably have a 2-hour discussion on that alone.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the other perspective of having a daughter who's a journalist. She's reporting what she's being told by qualified physicians. And so it feels like, to me, the media is kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't. But that, I think you're right, Heidi. There's, you could go either way with that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Peni Jo, she's sending she says, Peni Jo, can I unmute you and you just talk?
Okay.
Go, take it away, Heidi.
Well, I recently heard that there are 7 types of COVID-19.
I saw you ask that in the chat. Yeah, that is, I am unaware of that. So I can't, I don't know.
Yeah, and one of the things in this article that I am going to post, and I think we'll wrap this up because we're getting a little long here, but I will share this article. And one of the things it talks about is the anxiety that's caused by the amount of information and misinformation. And one of the things that my husband said to me, he said, it may very well be the same disease, but our bodies are so different, and our predisposing conditions are so different. This very same disease could show up as having no symptoms or being life-threatening, and it could affect the heart or the liver or the kidney. It would be nice and neat and tidy if everybody had the exact same stuff. But as Heidi's husband well knows, and most of the medical community, they're saying we're still figuring this out. And because they're still figuring out, there's stories that are coming out that might kind of put in question previous stories. But if you're sharing what you know at the time, then you learn more than what came out before. So I don't know that there's an intentionality within the media. Maybe there is some, depending on who you're talking about or talking to. But I just do feel like, this has really been helpful, Heidi. I appreciate you speaking your truth to power and providing a little bit of a template for us to be compassionate to those in our lives who have COVID-19. I will post this last part of this little chat or Zoom. Wait a minute, I think I have somebody else saying something here. Okay, we're good. And if you have questions, please know Heidi, as a health coach, is available, that you can reach out to her. Heidi, can you please give your contact information?
Yeah, absolutely. So HeidiBodenheimer.com, or you can do Heidi, I'm Heidi Be Fit on Instagram and Facebook, so you can message me through there as well.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Monday. Bye-bye.